What's good with it in the hood with it? Welcome back to the collective clips where you already know. Whooping. Das. We get it in. But before we get it in, let's get this intro in. Welcome back to the channel. And if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you go ahead and do that. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directing the direction of the dope content that the gun stays kicking. And I highly appreciate the support, man. I'm very humbled by it. So welcome back to another episode of Super Gunners where I tell you my real life true stories with a twist, right? Of course, you know, I got to make you laugh. That's just the type of person I am. What type of life is it worth living if you can't smile? I say, smile, right? It's always better that way. So I've been asked a lot of questions over my time on YouTube. And one of the questions that's asked frequently is about my cellies. While I was in prison, while I was in the youth authority, while I was in juvenile hall, shit, while I was fucking in a basement, living in my mother's basement, right? You know what I mean? Who the fuck were my favorite cellies, the best cellies I ever had, and the worst? Well, I'll tell you right now. Let's start with the worst cellies I ever had because it's a little bit better. Discúlpame, right? If you guys recall and you've been watching me for years, then you guys know all about the homie, discúlpame, right? You got to say it like that because that's the way he said it. You know, I watched that man get carried off the yard in a stretcher. I watched that man sweat so much in the cell that literally the pictures of Vita Guerrero had peeled off the wall, right? This Vato used to work out all day, every day, had the birth bath on fucking gunner birth bath restriction because he was like, discúlpame, homie. He had that little hose hooked up, discúlpame, right? One of the worst, he's probably one of the worst and best cellies I had because he's made me the most money on YouTube right? Telling his stories, but he's the worst cellie, one of the worst cellies I ever, not the worst. There's a Vato that holds the crown on that one, right? But one of the worst cellies I ever had because he was a JCAT. He was a certified JCAT. He was 5150. This Vato was as unstable as anyone you will ever meet in your life. That Vato would look at me. He would look through me like he was looking at the wall. He was fighting with the wall. Discúlpame while taking a bird bath. Holding his balls and shit. Discúlpame. I'd be like, hey, bro. Hey, do me a paro. Discúlpame. I'm like, no, fuck discúlpame. Discúlpame. Can you put a fucking curtain up or something? Discúlpame. That Vato was crazy. Anyways, he was one of the worst and best cellies. Best cellie because he minded his own business, didn't pay attention to what I had going on, and just did his thing. I can't say he wasn't a striving norteño because if that was his version of what a norteño is supposed to be, I'm telling you, no one's up to par. No one can keep up with this dude. This dude, I can't breathe. Discúlpame. He'd be working out like a motherfucker. Hey, 122s wasn't shit to that Vato. The cool part was he never was doing it right. Like he'd be all fucking lopsided when he did his push-ups. Discúlpame. I said, yeah, you feel sorry for that fucking routine because you're fucking it up. But anyways, he was one of the worst and best sellers. Like I said, best cellie because he minded his own business, and the worst cellie because it was just a sweat bath in that motherfucker, right? This dude, I never seen him not sweating. He'd wake up in the morning for breakfast. I'd be like, hey, bro, it's time to, it's morning wake-up call. It's time for chat. He'd be like, discúlpame, I got to do push-ups. I was like, oh, shit, the Vato speaks, right? So he was a different type of cellie to have. Probably the first time I experienced a real JCAT cellie. Now, one of the best cellies I ever had, let me tell you the backstory. So he was from Delano. Shout out West Side Delano, man, because that's where he was from, Dallas, Kern County, Delano, the last stop when it comes to the norteño movement, right? That's the last city where you're going to find norteños going south. So this dude was cool. I remember he could draw like a motherfucker. He was cool. And his name was Little Man from Delano. And when I first got to Mona Hall in the youth authority, we were in the dorm setting, right? He was a homie. He was one of the Northerners, man. He was cool. And what had happened was one of the homeboys from Hanford, from Hanas, started hitting clavel, right? He started hitting weed and he started hitting cigarettes. Now, who was bringing him and how he got him doesn't matter. He just had him. And he was a righteous ass homeboy, the homeboy creeper from Hanford. So what he would do is every time he got a fucking pack, he would shoot 2 or 3 sticks to each homeboy so that way you can get canteen, you could sell them and everything. But we had a rule at that time. See, at that time, we didn't do business with Southerners and we didn't do business with white people. And the reason being is those were the enemies, right? And the only reason the Woods, brother, were the enemies at that particular time was because they were functioning with the Southerners against us. So we only could deal with the others, Asians, Usos, blacks, and other Northerners, right, from different compas. And most of the time, we didn't sell nothing to the homies, so we just plug them in with a stick or two because we had it going on, right? We had to connect right there on the compas. So everything was good in the hood. Well, this dude would get his 3 or 4 sticks, and he just couldn't fight the feeling, man, like a motherfucking Too Short song. He had to fucking sell them to white men, right? The Woods, brother, they always give me coffee with nothing in it and give me tobacco with a whole lot of shit in it, right? So that's how that was. So when we found out he was doing this, the homeboys were feeling some type of way. So, of course, we approached him. We got at him like, hey, bro, what are you doing? We heard you're selling sticks to white guys and all that. And he was like, no. He denied it at first, right? Now, he was seen by homeboys doing it. So it's like, bro, at that point, just say, yeah, I was just trying to come up. They're plugging me double. It is what it is. And, of course, we'd have been like, shit, double, right? And then rules might possibly switched up on that compa. But because he denied it and he lied, that was a whole different story. So anyways, long story short, his time was up. He ends up getting dropped Levon, and I will never forget that day. I've told the story. Myself, Bad Boy from Sacra, Shorty from Cellies. I mentioned these names because it's after the statute of limitations, and plus I'm the one that got the fucking write-up for it, right? We went into the cell. He actually got moved into a cell, and I remember he had just got out of the shower. He had the towel around his neck. He was putting baby powder on his feet. Tripping. That motherfucker would never use baby powder again, I promise. So anyways, we go up in the cell, hit him up, right? The homeboy Bads tells him, hey, look, we know you've been selling cigarettes, this and this. You denied it, whatever, bro. This is what's going to happen. We're going to crack it off with the Southerners. You're going to kick it off, man. That's going to be kind of like his DP, right? You're going to have to crack it off. He was like, I got it. I'm down. It's whatever, man. When you guys want to do this after chow right now, like, let me throw my shoes on and get out there. Let me throw my Bob Barkers on. And the homeboy Bads was like, nah. Look, I got a piece, bro. I'm going to give you the piece, and we want you to hit that fool from San Diego. There was a little swole cat that was like Colin Cuetes from San Diego that was there, right? Southsider. And that fool was like, what do you mean a piece? He said, yeah, I got a knife, bro. You're going to hit him, and then we're going to get off. You're going to kick it off. And he was like, nah, bro, I'm trying to fuck. I'm going home in a year, bro. I'm not trying. What? Norteños don't go home, stupid, right? And it was at that point, as soon as he denied the pegada or whatever, he said no. Then, you know what I'm saying? He was told to keep the Norteño business out of his mouth. He refused, and he got smashed bad. I'll never forget that one. It was probably one of my biggest mistakes in life doing this. And I'll explain why. And how it ties into him being one of my best sellies I ever had. So we smashed him. Relentless, no remorse. It is what it is. It was actually cold because one of the counselors that was there actually set him up, knew what time it was, and just let it go down, right? So this fool gets smashed. We all mob up out of there, change, take a shower, change our clothing because there's sangre all over it, right? And we go to the day room. He doesn't come to the day room. He doesn't go to the day room. We go to the day room. A couple hours later, it's chow time. And so he has to come out for chow. Everyone must come out for chow, right? The senior, which is basically the counselor that's running that building, sees him and says, who the fuck hit you with a Mack truck? All the Norteños, take it down, right? So we all go on lockdown for a couple hours till they figure out what happens. One thing leads to another, and I'm the one getting snatched up. Me and the couple homeboys are getting snatched up. Exactly and precisely who did it. Telling's been going on since telling started, right? And so we're sitting in the day room, and the senior's like, one of you motherfuckers is going to step up, or all three of you guys are going to Yuba Hall, which was the hole. I said, I did that, right? Bam. I go to the hole for about 6 days. It is what it is. I did that because Bads was paroling. He was getting out in about a week. And the homie shorty, that was my taita, that was my fucking boy. So I was like, nah, I'll do it, right? What's the hole? Sibo did it. Why can't I? He's talked about Yuba Hall. So I went to Yuba Hall, did my time, came back. When I came back, guess what? The senior was on vacation. And there was another placa that took over. And he was the parole agent that worked there. We had a parole agent on each unit. He was acting senior at that time. So when I get back, I don't know why he did this. I don't know if this was like some retaliation type shit, but he was like, hey, I'm putting you in cell with Whoop-de-Whoop, his name, right? The dude who we just jumped. Oh, man, I ain't gonna lie. Walk up in that motherfucker's eyes get big. He's still healing, right? I'm like, what's up, bro? You want to get off or what? Because what am I going to do? I'm not going to refuse taking the celly, but fucking at the same time, you know what I mean? I'm feeling some type of way. And he's like, no, man. And by this time he's dropped Levon. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing selling up with the Levon? This is not cool. But you got to understand, prior to us beating him up, he was a good dude, right? We could have did something different, but as youngsters and as savages and whatever we thought we were at the time, it was just about fucking gangbanging, right? And rules. And so on, taking advantage of people that couldn't protect themselves, obviously, right? With 3 of us. So that whole night, man, we got to chopping it up, and I fucking stood up. I stood up. I was on the bottom bunk. He was on the top bunk. I remember. And he had his leg was messed up. And he was like, hey, bro, you think I can get the bottom bunk? And I'm like, this fool's fucking level as fuck. Fuck it. Go ahead, man. I always like the top bunk anyway. So yeah, for all you haters, I did take the top bunk. I don't know about these fucking crazy rules that people have. Oh, if you take the top bunk, you're a sucker. The bottom bunk. Nah, man, you take whatever bunk you want. I always like the top bunk. So I can jump off and do the flying kick, right? So look at this, what happens the first night, right? Now, mind you, we just smashed this dude. He's still got raccoon eyes. He's still fucking healing, right? Me and him are chopping it up, and I'm in there, and the homeboys are looking in the cell like, you ain't beat him up yet? I'm like, wait, when I come out, I'll tell you. So I tell them, I said, that's not like that. Fool don't want no smoke, right? So they're like, yeah, I don't know, bro. You know what I mean? I'm like, if you don't stop it. So here I am laying on, like, bro, you see what I did to him? I popped this whole blood vessel, bro. I ain't tripping off him. So as I'm laying on the top bunk that night, I ain't gonna lie, I'm having a good ass dream, right? I'm trying to stay up because you never know if this motherfucker gonna get his runbacks, right? But fuck it, I can hear him snoring, so I start snoring. And the cop's like, hey, and he's banging on the door for count time early in the morning, right? Night cop, like before the lights come on. I don't know why he did that to us. He was a trick. He thought we were gonna be fighting in that motherfucker, right? And as soon as I woke up, I tried to jump off the bunk, and my legs were numb. They were fucking, you know, when they're asleep, your legs are asleep. Man, I did the Zab Judah, right? When he fought Costa Zoo, and I did the funky chicken, and I fell right on my ass, and that fool, he could have took advantage. Like, boom, I would have at that point, right? That motherfucker picked me up. He's like, you all right, bro? And I felt bad right then and there, man. And after that, we were settled for like a month until the senior came back and it said, well, that's the Mack truck that hit him, right? It moved me. He ended up getting brought back up. Bad's paroled, man. You know, we gave the Vato another chance. He was one of the only Norteños that I ever seen that got dropped level that got brought back up. He had to do a little bit of cleanup, get off where he was mad at a few times, but he was cool. Ended up being one of the better Cellies I ever had. He could draw. He was drawing me cars. He was just cool. I apologize to him, you know what I'm saying, for what I did and what I participated in. It is what it is. Anyways, worst Cellie I ever had. Well, they sold me up with a blind guy, right? And he was one of the better Cellies, okay? Even though the motherfucker kept bumping his balls into the sink, right? He still was cool. Believe me, I had to help him out a lot, like fucking pick him up, put him on his top bunk. Yes, I had the blind dude on the top bunk. Why? Because I was playing them games, right? Hey, I wasn't in YA when it comes to me, but when it comes to someone else, get your little ass up there, blind motherfucker, right? You know what I'm saying? Do like Ray Charles and feel a motherfucker's wrist and get up there, right, stupid? That's just how that was. Anyways, he was one of the better Cellies I had. Now, when it's the worst Cellies, oh, man. The last time I was locked up in prison, right? I was doing a violation. I was in Tracy. I get there, and they got me for absconding, meaning I left the state without reporting in, right? Fuck parole, right? I'm a soldier, like SIBO. And so anyways, they saw me in, and he's like an older OG Northerner, right? And the motherfucker had the fucking feather haircut, looked like fucking Brian Bosworth. I'll never forget. I looked at him and said, I don't like this dude, man. You ever met people like that? You just look at him like people right now are looking at me like, I hate this motherfucker, right? That's how it was. I don't like this cat. So I get in there. I'm like, hey, bro, what are you in here for, man? I need to see paperwork or something, bro. Like, if anything was tricky, I was frustrated. I woke up that morning getting some cutty, right? I woke up that morning, and now fucking here I am in the night and I'm fucking locked up, right? And so I'm like on a violation. I'm like, hey, bro, what are you in here for? Please tell me something good. He's like, oh, bro, I'm here for absconding. I said, oh, shit, me too. I said, what happened with you? He said, they caught me in Denver, Colorado, bro. He said, man, fucking, that's where my old lady is. I keep sliding out there, man. This is like my 8th or 9th one. I was like, all right, I hear you. He said, what did they get you for? I said, absconding, man. I said, I slid up to Oregon to go see my family, you know what I'm saying? And they snatched me up. He was like, yeah, all right. And so that was that. And so why he was the worst Cellie is this motherfucker was stupid. Look, okay, he couldn't read or write. Nothing against people who can't read or write. He was an older gentleman. Back in the days, they didn't have time for school. They were too busy fucking trying to get tortas or whatever their excuse was, right? But this motherfucker decided that he wanted to write. He was all in love with this white chick, big old heavy chick, right? Just he got a picture from her and didn't know how to act, right? And look, she's bad, huh? She's definitely big. I don't know about bad. Your girl is big and bougie. Your girl is big and bougie. Right? I don't know about bad, homie, but big. She looked like the back of Cardi B's ass, right? All indented. I was like, but this Vato was in love. He's like, hey, bro, when I get out, I'm gonna marry her. I said, why didn't you do it the other 7 times that you absconded? bro, I never had the feria, right? He's a broke dick motherfucker too. I had a little bit of money when I got locked up, so of course canteen came smooth, right? This Vato was struggling, man. He was eating all the honey buns. I'm like, all right, bro, you want a honey bun? He's like, they're already gone. What the fuck you mean they're already gone? Because, when you're sold up with the homeboy, whatever's yours is his and his is yours. Now, mind you, I'm not active at this time, right? So when I say homie, we're both ex-Northerners, but still a homie, right? And I'm just like, damn, bro, the honey buns are they're on the fuck away from me, bro. What are you doing, right? So, anyways, what made me the most mad, why he became one of my worst sellers, is this motherfucker couldn't read or write, and he wanted to write his old lady every day. And who do you think had to do it for him? Oh, man. When he got out, he was going to realize that everything he said was not what I wrote. Got him, right? Got him. He's like, tell her I love her with all my heart, todo mi corazón, and all my equilibrium, homie. I said, bro, you, for a motherfucker that can't spell, how the fuck are you going to say, I can't even spell equilibrium. You know what I'm saying? We got two non-spelling motherfuckers right here. So I was like, hey, he said he likes you and shit, but you got to lose weight. I was different, right? Anyways, we end up going aboard the same day. This motherfucker gets out, I catch a year flat. Make that make sense. Was what it was. From that day on, when I got the violation and he got out and got to go back to Big Bertha, right? He was always one of my worst cellies. Now, one of my better cellies was a homeboy from Sunnyvale, right? He knows who he is, man. He taps in on my lives. That homeboy right there it was probably the best time I've ever had in my cell, telling stories, giving them clecha, lacing them up. At that time, I was in a position, right? This is facts. You know what I'm saying? He comes on my lives, like I said, on other platforms. He'll keep it real. He was my cell. He's still active. It just is what it is. But he was susceptible to fucking knowledge, right? The knowledge you couldn't get in college. So when I laced him up, I knew it was soaking. And then because I was in a position I was in, I was also giving clecha to a homeboy from Sanjo who was next door. I was trying to pull him, right? So I had a lot of things going on at that time. And, man, he never hesitated. I'm like, hey, bro, I got to write Wheelas. Can you fucking be on post? That fool be on post all day. Just, and not even in the gangbang thing. I was active at the time, right? It was just, we flowed together good in the cell. Sometimes you have a celly that you don't have, they know what you're thinking. You know what they're thinking even at the trip, right? Like fucking Devata knows to go fart by the door. Like it just is what it is. I make that shit work for you. Best celly I ever had, man. Hands down. We did great time together, man. I remember our gallo left, right? The guy who did the morning wake-up call. And I was in position to make the gallo, put it like that, to say who was going to do it. And I remember giving him that position, like, hey, bro, do it. This Vato had a deep-ass voice, too. He was like, it sounded like suave, ow. like that. And that Vato, I remember he yelled. He fucking made that motherfucker rock. Woods was like, damn, brother, Norteños are getting louder and louder every day. And that's how that was. But best celly I ever had. Worst celly in the history of Gunnerdom, right, is Shadow from Sacra. Put it like this. The other day, all right, look, you know when a meth head, he smells meth and he starts farting and shit? Or a cokehead, when you get that drain, when you're eating something and it tastes like that drain, and you fucking start reminiscing, it takes you back, you think you're high and shit. The other day, I went to take shit, right? And I ain't gonna lie, man, it had been about half a day since I did my thing. And it was a little sour, it was a little tart, right? And I got flashbacks of the homeboy Shadow from fucking Sakura. And I'm going to tell you right now, that shit, I hated him at that moment last week. That was the worst celly I ever had. That dude, to this day, I still smell the shit. This dude would use the toilet and you literally have to have your head outside for a good hour to hour and 15 minutes. Between him and the Uso lion, I don't know who shitted longer, but I know who shitted worse. And look, how are you going a 380-pound Uso and you smashing him? And you're 4 feet shorter than him. Let me tell you, man, this dude was, you're the type of author whose neck sits on his neck. It's just dirt behind. You like that, and right on the wall with the dirt from the back of his neck. Just a disgusting individual. And if you're like me, there comes times in your life when there's people that you just see, you just want to fucking choke them, right? Man, that vault was like, ultimately, I told the story, man, I couldn't take it no more. I was at the point where I was either going to remove him myself and just say, fuck it, and get jumped by the Northerners for red on red. Something was going to have to give here. I told him straight up, I said, bro, you stink like shit, bro. He's like, hey, bro, you're not supposed to talk to homies like that. You're not my homie. But I'm a Norteño. Barely. Look, bro, they're going to kill you on the yard for the way you smell. I'm telling you, homies will remove you for not making your bed right or being one short on a 122 count, right? You smell like bro, you smell like shit, is it? Right? You smell like my cousin Pepe used to say, that's how y'all, you about to smell up here like horse shit. This Vato didn't smell like horse shit. No, he smelled like the horse been dead, right? It was bad. And so I ultimately told him, look, bro, I just played him. You know, I played him out of pocket. That's some bully tactics. So, well, it was what it was, man. I was out there trying to struggle for oxygen. Okay, you ain't never been in a small cell with a motherfucker who, when he farts, it melts fucking things. Okay, we didn't need a stinger in that cell to warm up water. All that about that had to do was fart anywhere in the vicinity, and water started to boil, bubble. That's how bad it was. That was, look, I've been to Southern California, did time. I've been in riots, melees, stabbed, shot, jumped on, disculpame, right? I've been through a lot. His shit smells worse than all that. Put all that in one and his shit still wins. That's how bad it was. Like, if they bottled that shit, that's that shit they used in fucking Venezuela to stun them guys. For reals, that's how bad it was, right? Oh man, Shadow, man, I'll never forget him. I ended up running into him later on, bro. He's like, "Oh, what's up?" I said, "Damn, bro, this about to still sour puss," right? Ultimately, what I told him was like, "Hey, bro, the homies are gonna get you because your uncleanliness and ungodliness, right? And you know, cleanliness is next to godliness, and I know for sure you don't believe in Jesus, not the way you smell. Like fucking, hey, if Jesus came, he'd be and had you hop on. You know what I'm saying? We're getting handed eternal life. You're getting handed zest straight up. You got to clean your ass before you go up in there. It was bad. I ended up telling him that he needed to go fake a heart attack or do whatever he had to do at medical. I don't care, man. Let him smell you, and they'll know something ain't right. And you can get the fuck up out of here. He did. He rolled it up and whatever. And then I remember the homies got at me, and that's gonna lead me to a video I'm gonna do on Gunners Collective TV today, man, about guys who roll it up, and you're not supposed to let them go. We'll get to that. Anyways, with that being said, man, some of the worst, best Cellies. Lion, of course, I've told you guys stories. One of my better Cellies and worst all at the same time. He's a twist. Because some days I'd wake up not knowing if he was going to fucking grab me and fucking choke me. And then the next day I'd wake up thinking, oh, man, this is the coolest dude. And then he'd turn around and then I'd smell his badass breath, which was in comparison to Shadow's fucking farts, not even close. And that's coming from a Uso. That Vault's breath smelled like pineapples and hibiscus, or what is it? Hibiscus plants. The Vault Shadow, man, that Vault smelled like fucking Captain Caveman breath. Thumbs up or thumbs down? Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly believe in. That's the betterment of all people. I hope I answered the questions. Some of them are worst and best Cellies. I've had 100 Cellies, right? But these are the particular individuals that stick out to me. Some because they smelled like shit. Some because they were the shit. That's the gun, man. Bang, bang. Shout out to my boy. You know who you are from Sunnyvale, homie. For reals.